Some devils. J-Dog back to answer more goddamn questions. Questions we're going over today. All right, the video posted 2 weeks ago. J-Dog poisoning the minds of the youth, question mark. Teach children to worship Satan, brah brah. Sure the fucking Dark Funeral haters didn't fucking catch on that one, goddammit. Guys like that Teach Children to Worship Satan EP. The cover song, one original fucking, original, but also made it to the goddamn full length at the time, Diabol Centurion, but all the cover songs. I personally love the goddamn cover songs on that. How do you guys like it? Like, Remember the Fallen, Sodom cover? I loved it. They covered The Trial by King Diamond, and I thought that was super fucking awesome just because that's a very unique song to cover, and how I thought they did a really good job on it. And that's actually, I mean, it's one of my favorite King Diamond songs, but I'm trying to put in what order. Is it like top 5, top 10? I'd have to make a list, kind of like in my one video that went up. I did an order favorite King Diamond albums, but definitely one of my favorite fucking King Diamond songs is The Trial. They've done shows to where they've done it live, but I thought they didn't do it enough. I thought that should be a staple in every set. A lot of times when they would pick one song from The Eye, they would do the title track, The Eye, and that's a good song. But I think The Trial sends it home on a stretcher. It just has. I just love the character of that song. It's like it's very theatric, even though it's a bad fucking word to use because obviously it isn't all King Diamond, but just I don't know the characters on it, the different voices. That's actually another reason too. Like that was kind of with King Diamond getting a female vocalist. Well, not vocalist, his wife. Like I said, that was just from him being a goddamn pussy, in my opinion. When she came on, what's the first song she sings on? Puppet Master, right? She's just the two, Puppet Master and Give Me Your Soul, Please. It's not that I thought she did a bad job, but completely unnecessary because The Eye specifically, and especially on the song The Trial, which I loved, King would do the fucking the voice of the witch. He would do the voice of the fucking priests, I guess, or whoever's like sacrificing the goddamn the witch, and then the singing the story more or less. So like three kind of like characters going on at once, and did a fantastic goddamn job. So I'm like, what the fuck you need her goddamn for? So. But yeah, Teach Children to Worship Satan disc is an EP with cover songs. Covered King Diamond, Sodom, Slayer, and Mayhem. I even like this. I even like the Slayer cover, even though that Slayer song in particular I wasn't a big fan of. Just that, like I said, anything after fucking Rain and Blood, I kind of didn't care. I do like a couple tracks on off South of Heaven, like Silent Scream. I think is a really good song. But for the most part, I was like, I don't really like it. Songs here and there, even on the last album of Repentless, I liked the title track Repentless and the song Take Control. I actually had to admit, I was like, these are actually pretty good songs. But I mean, like Dead Skin Mask, I'm like, the original. But Dark Funeral's cover, I did like it. So if you don't know that, check it the fuck out, goddammit. Anyways, first goddamn question marks on the bottom. Mike Violet. Yes, J-Dog is poisoning youth, and I totally support it. What's going on with Pat O'Brien? Question marks. I heard he's not going to prison, and that is awesome. I kind of asked you guys that in the past, but didn't he join another band? Was it Ex Hoarder or one of the bands I heard he's playing live with or some shit? I was indifferent. I mean, I have no ill will to the guys. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Cannibal Corpse and shit like that. I didn't want to see him go to prison. I just thought the whole scenario is kind of fucked up. What I don't like about shit like that is when guys like that don't go to prison. Again, I don't know the trial. I don't know anything, so I'm not saying that he deserved to or I wanted him to. But what kind of pisses me off about it, just a little that I heard, and it's very, very little, and I think it was secondhand. I didn't even look up the actual Google search or anything like that. It's just when it happened, I was told secondhand. So who the fuck knows how true how straight I got it. Wasn't really that concerned to dig deep into it. But from what I've heard, and if I pulled that shit, I would have got 20 years. So what I'm getting at, it's kind of annoying when I meet those people like, I got 3 DUIs. It's like, but they have their license and they're still driving. I'm like, how does this fucking happen? I was like, because if it happened to me, I'd be in the fucking slammer getting butt raped by fucking Bubba. That's just the way it'd be. That's my luck. So I don't like it in the degree of the unfairness. So it's kind of like part of me wanted to see him go to Slammer just for fucking principle. But at the same time, I mean, like I say, I like the guy, but I mean, definitely I have zero problem with him. Met him. He was the most quiet out of all the Cannibal guys. But I was a fan of his work, and he didn't come off as a fucking canoe to me. He fit the fucking bill. And so, yeah, I didn't wish ill will to him, but it just seemed like a fucking, this low life fucking, just scummy move. I mean, of what happened, again, off the information I heard. So it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you should be kind of like accountable for your crimes. And again, if nothing else, it just pisses me off because I know if this guy did it, there would be no mercy. But anybody else, no problem, bro. So that part, that's just a kind of pet peeve I have just in general life. Ryan02, fitness question. Hey, J-Dog, my wife, 36, got diagnosed with high blood pressure and she gets heart palpitations. Oh, I see. This actually replied to you. Yeah, you didn't really tell me, Ryan. So what's up with her? Yeah, so she's on blood. It sounds like your doctor's kind of a fucking dum-dum. He says that he told her not to work out because she has high blood pressure, but she's on blood pressure medications. So it's either two things. Well, if she's on blood pressure medications, her blood pressure should no longer be high. And if it is, that means the goddamn medications she's on are ones that are not good for her body. They don't agree with it. You know, there's ACE inhibitors, ARBs, calcium channel blockers, and diuretics. Diuretics being the last. That's one of the first things they just prescribe, and that's the last thing J-Dog tells you to take. That's to me fucking the first thing. The first plan of attack should be either ACE inhibitors or ARBs. So tell her to look into that. And you get your dose right. You start off slow and you just up it, up it, up it, up it, up it until you get to the max dose per whichever one you're using. Oh, there's beta blockers too, especially if she has a high resting heart rate. I would add in a beta blocker, but tell her doctor to look into one. It's called Nobivolol. It's definitely more selective. It's not like a sledge fucking hammer on the adrenaline system to where you feel like a fucking zombie and you get weight gain and shit like that. She could try that too if her resting heart rate is, honestly, they say if it's under 100, that's shit. You should not be over, and I'm pretty generous. It should be under 80 at all times, your resting goddamn heart rate. If it's over that, that's not good. Ideally, if you're kicking ass, it's like 55 to 60. If your resting heart rate's always at that, that's kicking ass. But I give a little bit of leeway, maybe because coming from the bodybuilding world, you got to give a little more wiggle room. I say keep it under 80, but 100, they're like, yeah, you're 95, you're fine. You should not be sitting around with a resting heart rate 95. That is completely fucking unacceptable. So, something like the Nobivolol will lower that and blood pressure. So, if her blood pressure is good on the BP meds she's on, what do you mean she can't work out? That's the dumbest shit I ever heard. So, that should be resolved. Heart rate and fucking BP should be fixed. Go fucking work out. Yeah, well, it's still high. Well, then change medications or up the fucking dose. So let me know on that. You were a little brief on it, and we can go from fucking there. Nasal puke. Yo, J Dog, what are your opinions on Empatego? How do I want to break it down? Opinions on Empatego. Well, for starters, you clearly haven't watched all my past videos because you would know. Well, how do I want to say it? Empatego. One of the most original gore acts ever. It's a band for whatever reason. A lot of times I talk about gore grind, I forget. Maybe because they're in a league of their own. Because when I think of gore grind, most of the times it's usually Carcass influence or sounds like Carcass. But the early forefront bands of gore grind, when they pop into my mind, is literally Carcass, Empatego, and General Surgery. Those are the ones that pop into my mind at the forefront of gore grind. Nobody ever sounded like Empatego, and nobody still does. There's bands that are kind of influenced. Who the fuck sings like goddamn Steve-O? Especially on the first album. Who? Fucking it's just fucking stupid as fuck. And that's what made it so great. So original as hell, pioneers of their time and stood the test of time. And they are another band that I put in the category. Do not come knocking on this fucking J-Dog goddamn door ever. Don't be coming knocking on that dog pound and saying you listen to goddamn extreme music, you're into the underground, you're into death metal, you're into fucking the heavy shit, and you don't go Empatego. Deer in headlights, deck in the fucking mouth. Goddamn Panini's ass fucking douche. The most underground thing he's heard of at best is Cannibal Corpse. Do not come knocking on this motherfucking door. For whatever reason, and I said it, what did I say? Bands like, you don't know underground shit if you're completely unaware of bands like Denial of God, Our Sadistic Intent, Hemorrhage, Nunslaughter, who else I put in there? But bands, those, but honestly, the top of that fucking list is Empatego. If you don't know that, you don't have to like them. You don't. If you're more of a black metal guy, but you damn sure need to know who the fuck they are. And to be completely fucking honest, I'm even going to go a step further with them. This doesn't apply to the Denial of Gods or the Hemorrhages or anything like that. Not even the Sadistic Intents. But you should be able to identify them if you walk in a room. Why? Because it's literally a one-time goddamn listen, and it's like, it's identifiable. I know people that don't like Empatego in the metal scene, and if they walk in the room, especially the first album, especially the first record, if it's on, they'll be chuckling, oh, this is Empatego. So you claim you're in underground music, you better be able to identify. Don't have to like it. There's no, I don't believe there's any such thing as a band you have to like. There's definitely some shit if you're into metal, if you don't like if you don't like Merciful Fate, if you don't like Seven Churches, that doesn't make you a poser. That doesn't mean you're not in underground music. That doesn't mean you're not in metal. It's weird to me, for sure. That comes off as, really? Kind of weird. How the fuck do you not like that? But not a poser. There's no one band you're a fucking poser or not into the extreme music or underground music just because you don't like. But there is certain staples you need to know what the fuck it is. Otherwise, you look like a fucking idiot. So Empatego is, you need to have heard of them, and you should be able to identify them. Don't have to like them. If you don't, get fucking lost, bro town. Get learning them, and don't come knocking on this goddamn dog pound till you do. Because you're not in underground music unless you have it. So that's where I fucking stance on the Empatego. And if you want some sharp ass fucking releases, I know it ain't J-Dog sales pitching, go find the past Hell's Headbangers pressing LPs that we did. Sold out years ago. So I don't want to hear any fucking dumb, flat brim sideways idiot coming over here saying something stupid as fuck, as they always do. There he is again, trying to sales pitch. What, sales pitch something that's been out of stock for 15 years? How the fuck does that benefit me? You got to go on Discogs and probably pay $100 for it. Just saying, you want a nice ass release of some essential ass fucking underground metal, in my opinion, seek them out. Well, it is friendly advice. Do the fuck you want to do. If you don't, then just be a poser and listen to your goddamn fucking downloads. You can do that too. A lot of those guys doing that. Human Brisket. Devil's question. What band shirt you wearing today? Raw Power Screams from the Gutter. Oh, it's for the Devils. I'll say, you don't. I'm just looking at the video of mine. It looks like I'm wearing Devourment Molesting Decapitated. Want to get one of those bangers? We got them in. We got a handful in stock at Hell's. When I saw that, there was a 2X in there too. I don't know if we have any 2Xs left, but they came in. I'm like, I'm picking one of these up because I always loved that record. And again, they're part of me is kind of like, yeah, do I want a Devourment shirt? Because god damn, that crowd attracts some fucking douches. But I really like that record and I like that album cover. And the part of the reason I like that album cover is because it's shocking, it's appalling, and that's what goddamn underground extreme music should fucking be. I'm tired of this bitch shit. Fucking got sidewards caps and guys wearing pink goddamn sweaters. Who's wearing a pink sweater, J-Dog? Well, they may as well be coming now with the crap I'm seeing, the goddamn wardrobes I'm being sent. Pink sweaters is next. Just may as well be. So, Devourment, yeah, that album is just represented extremity. You know, like, whoa, the Panini's douche. Listen to Linkin Park, bro. It just puts him in his place. Like, whoa, I don't like shit like that. You goddamn right you don't like shit like that. You damn sure don't like Empatego either. So get fucking lost. Why are we talking? So it kind of gives that memo out there. But yeah, fan base. Again, Devourment's coming here to Cleveland. I know this year. No class. If I got nothing going on that night, I'll be there. But don't be looking for the dog. He might not be there because God, there's gonna be some annoying ass motherfuckers there. Guaranteed. Just packed to the gills with fucking posers. Packed to the gills with a fucking bunch of bozos that don't know Empatego either. And quite frankly, yeah, if you're listening to Devourment and you don't know Empatego, you're a newbie fucking canoe. Like what do you mean? Like without bands like Empatego and shit, Devourment wouldn't exist. Now I'm not saying don't get something stupid as fuck. I'm not saying Devourment sounds like Empatego. No, they fucking don't. But they were a predecessor of extreme shit, the gory shits that you just need to fucking know. It's just like saying you like black metal, but you never heard Venom. And again, well, black metal, technically, Venom doesn't sound like black metal. No, but they're the predecessors. They created the fucking name. Like you kind of need to know them. Because what's kind of I'm starting to notice, and I was having the conversation with my buddy Dan Murrow, was a lot of the young comments and stuff that I would have never seen prior to starting this channel is people are mentioning bands like, hey, J-Dog, have you heard of this? Or how many years? Oh, kind of weird. J-Dog doesn't know this. And I look at it's like 2018 release. But then bozos don't know. I don't know if I've ever met anybody that doesn't know anything but as bad as Venom. But classic shit like the first Malevolent Creation or something. I'm like, dude, this stuff doesn't even compare. It's not that it's not as good and I like it, but I'm like, this isn't, you need to know it, this 2018 release. For example, I think, say, band Pharmacist. You guys know I'm a big fan of Pharmacist. That's not a, you need to know it's over the first two Carcass records. For example, if an 18-year-old kid came up to me, man, I love fucking this Pharmacist band. I picked it up from Hell's. It's fucking great. And I'm, we're sitting there talking, shooting shit, talking shop. And a conversation comes up and he's like, yeah, I never heard Symphonies of Sickness. I never heard Recaputrefaction. I'd be like, oh, dude, come on. Like, that's just unacceptable. Or you just get educated because I'm like, you need to know what that is. You just do in my mind. You don't need to know what Pharmacist is. It's a good fucking modern pickup. I highly recommend it. This guy's got it. And he's proud to have it. But I'm just saying it's not a you need to know. That's the way I view it. So maybe it's that the old guy, but I don't know. It just kind of makes fucking sense. Again, if you're talking action movies, you've never seen a goddamn Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but you're like, I love action movies. It's just, I just feel like it's not bad. I don't dislike you. I don't think I'm superior to you or over you. I just feel like you're missing the fuck out. That's all. I just feel like you're missing out on greatness. I was like, I just kind of feel sorry for you. That's the best way I can say it. Just trying to help the younger folks out. That's all, goddamn. That's all I'm saying. You compose. J-Dog, I have that not so fresh feeling anymore. What do I do? Jump in the shower, you dirty bastard, and go put on Serpents in the Light. That'll get you feeling good in no fucking time. 50-year-old geezer. Yeah. Because it's so funny because of the metal scene, but it's because it's attracted to even like I'm getting geezer status, and let me correct it for anyone that's looking at it literal, and I'm guilty of being literal myself. I am. 38 is how old I am, and that's not old. 54 in the all in all is not old either. But you're in a scene that was number one started by youth primarily. I mean, think of all the bands. We're even back to Black Sabbath. I mean, Ozzy and them. It's funny because put it in the comments too. I've always wondered. I had this conversation with Craig, Dan Murrow, etc. You guys ever look at the fucking Black Sabbath photos from 1970, 71? The first couple albums. You're like, man, these motherfuckers look like they're 40 years old. But you do the math, they're like 19, 18, 20. They're young, right? So again, started by fucking youth. But yeah, look like 40-year-olds. Am I the only one that fucking thought that shit? Suppose you look at an 18-year-old now, I'm like, who's this kid fucking 12? Doesn't even look like he has hair on his goddamn dick. So it's just like, I don't know. Motherfuckers look young as fuck to me these days. I don't know what it is. But anyways, music was started by youth, from Black Sabbath. And then when you get to the extreme shit, I'll even give credit where credit's due. Fucking Tom G, when he started Hellhammer, young as fuck. Quorthon Bathory, young as fuck. Possessed 7 churches. Wasn't it, the story is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard it from multiple sources, when 7 churches was recorded, for at least Jeff Becerra, but maybe all the guys, they were on spring break in high school. Jeff was either 15 or 16 years old. Put it in there what you think it is. Let's just say 16. 16-year-old fucking kid. First death metal album, in my opinion, of all existence. According to Big D, it's fucking Sodom and the Sign of Evil. I think that's not a bad pick. Is that the first death metal album ever? It's an EP, and you can... It's argued as more of a black metal album. Because I do grit. When you call it thrash, I was like, it's kind of not. It's dark. It is kind of death metal. So is kind of Morbid Visions. Because when I think of thrash, especially that time, you're thinking, like Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax, Exodus, things like that. When you put on something like In the Sign of Evil, you're just like, fuck, this is like, what is it? Like, you didn't know what it was most of the time. So anyways, but in my opinion, first full-length death metal album, 7 churches, written by 16-year-old fucking kids. Story I heard too for Entombed Left Hand Path. Nicky Anderson, from what I heard, again, I don't know how true this is, when Earache Records gave the contract, he was 17 years old. I'm not saying he was 17 at the time of Left Hand Path, but when Earache signed them for the debut album or whatever, for 3 albums, whatever they signed him for, but the contract, and his parents had to co-sign for him or sign it for him. The parents had to sign something, whether they had to sign it and he didn't have to, or he had to sign plus them because he was a minor. Left Hand Path, in my opinion, also one of the greatest death metal albums in existence, right? So that's another one. You don't talk to me if you never heard Left Hand Path and say you're in underground music. Just get fucking fucked and fucking lost. That's stupid as fuck. So, written by you. So what I'm getting at, 54-year-old geezer. Obviously, you're not a geezer, but in this scene that was created by youngsters, and a lot of people, like we said, when they get into it, they're young and they fall off. It's kind of more ran by youth, right? And the guys that stuck around, and when it started, you're geezers now. Because I think you'd be very hard pressed. Now, I'm sure there's some fucking weirdo, but weirdo in a good way, that was listening to music when it was in its infancy. For example, like when Seven Churches came out, how many 54-year-olds were listening to Seven Churches in 1985? There's a litmus test too. Put it for you. I guarantee there's somebody. I'm sure there's, like I said, some weirdo out there, but in a good way, that was very, very few. It's just the reason there is now is because you guys that were young when that came out, full disclosure, I was born in 85. When you guys were 15 years old, the 50 years old, so that's what you'd be, 53, 54 now, right? You were 15 when you got that in 1985. You just stuck it out because you're one of the true devils. You're not one of the fucking fake ass posers that, but when you got out of high school in 1991, 1992, you were out, right? So you just stuck with it. I'd say the litmus test too. Cannibal Corpse, Eaten Back to Life. First Deicide. How many 54-year-olds were listening to that in 1990 when it came out? Again, I'm sure there's some. You'd be very hard pressed. Give me 20 examples. 20 examples. And that means if they're still alive today, that was, we'll say 1990, that was 33 years ago. That answers your question right there. They're 54 then. That means they're 87 today. How many motherfucking 87-year-old motherfuckers do you know that listen to Cannibal Corpse and Deicide? I can honestly say I've never even met one in my entire life. The closest guy that I know, I don't even know if he likes Cannibal Corpse or Deicide, I know he likes Nunslaughter, is Walter Hahn from Germany. I never met him, but when he played in Germany, he was wearing a Don Dickback shirt. That's what they call it. And he went up to Craig, Jim, and Don and had him sign his Nunslaughter stuff. He orders from Hell's too. He likes his English is very, very broken. He emails me from time to time. Hey, when is this coming out? Type of shit when he sees pre-orders. Sometimes asks about the limitations. He calls himself Walter the Old. But even him, I think he was 70 when Don and them met him, and that was over 10 years ago. It was when Craig was in the band. He might be 80 years old now. And again, I don't even know if he likes Cannibal Corpse or Deicide, but presumably he likes stuff in that style. He does. He likes Nunslaughter. That's the oldest guy I've heard of. I've never met. How many 87-year-olds do you know that listen to Cannibal Corpse and Deicide? Again, I'm not saying don't exist. I've never met one. The closest I've heard of is Walter Hahn, a.k.a. Walter the Old, and I've never even met him. Don't even know what the guy looks like. Just know the stories. Talk to him through email. And again, I'm pretty sure he's not even 87. I think he's like maybe 79, 80, 81. So that's why we're considered the geezers, especially the 50-year-olds, because it's the music for youth. Either people fall off, they get out. Now, it'll be interesting in 30 years from now and shit, because assuming I'm still alive in 30 years too, I'll be 68. So definitely geezer territory for metal. How many, like for example, Mike Cyanide and Scott Cyanide, they're in their 50s, Dawn of the Dead. Again, assuming they're alive in 30 years old, they'll be in their 80s. How many will be around and listening to fucking death metal? You know, the Cannibal Corpses, the Deicide, just Sinister, all that shit. You know what I mean? Because when you put it in that perspective like that, it's kind of interesting, but it makes sense because in the all in all, this musical genre in the time frame of this life is still in its infancy, and it's still kind of new when you really break it down, especially the extreme shit. You know, it's been around at most, we're looking at what, 35 years? You know, say Possessed the first one. It's old as me, 38 years. That's not a super long time, especially in the concept of just music. So just a little fucking fun fact in there. Put your goddamn comments in there because I'm not saying my answer is the right answer. Just a little thing that entered my mind right now, and you know, a little fun fucking topic. Because I'm sure nobody's ever fucking thought about it. So let's get the conversation rolling. Yeah, we different topics too. Guys are sick and tired of hearing about posers, canoes, and fucking goddamn dress codes. So that'll get something interesting to talk about that I've never brought up and just thought about now. And it's kind of cool when you break it down like that, right? Comes questions and everything else. Yeah, but the guys about it. Answer in the morning. Later, goddamn it.